Good evening and welcome to Gladiators TV. Once again, we are here at the Coliseum for the Plymouth Gladiators, and tonight they are hosting top of the table, Poole Pirates. Interesting meeting this evening, of course. The Gladiators now, the playoffs looking like they're not going to happen, but the Pirates have had a tremendous season. They've been absolutely brilliant everywhere they've gone. Something a little bit interesting this evening, though, the reserves for the Poole Pirates. Paul Starke comes in at number 6. He knows this place very well, of course. He rode here last year. And also Ben Trigger, the local rider, a rider that has ridden round here since, well, probably as long as he can remember. So Ben Trigger and Paul Starke, the reserves. And, of course, the Gladiators have got those two reserves in Joe Thompson and Jacob Hook. Now, I think that the winning's going to be done in that reserve berth this evening, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, first of all, we want to go down to the pits because I think Joe's down there, and Joe's going to be catching up with maybe some managers or some riders, depending on who he can find, and we'll hear some of their thoughts as we go into this championship encounter, the Gladiators versus the Pirates.
Garry back in Devon after a promising performance last night at Redcar, safe to say.
Yeah, it was a really good one last night. You know, it just shows that we're missing that number one, and if we could get a number one, we would have won our last night. You know, I mean, I know nothing against Drew Kemp, but you know, he rode well and that. But you know, another 5 points, it turns it round into our favour. You know, which a number one will get you. You know, should get you 10 points or so. You know what I mean? But that's the way it is, and we just got to move on, and you know, we move on to tonight and see what we can do.
On the number one situation, obviously we're going rider replacement tonight. Just how tricky has it been to get somebody in with, you know, with this being the penultimate home fixture?
Yeah, you know, we had a number one here for tonight in the obviously with the fixtures that we have got to do, and he rides for the certain track that we were going to tomorrow, and obviously I can understand he turned it down because he didn't want to go away to Plymouth and away to Worthington, so I can understand that. But on my way home last night I tried 4 or 5 riders, and you know, all of them said, no, I was riding up north last night, I can't come all that far down, it's a travel and everything, you know what I mean? So it's really hard to get a number one, and these people on the forum like say like, oh, it's a joke at Plymouth have got RR number one. Well, come and sit with me, all right? Come and sit with me when I ring up riders. You'll see what a joke it is, all right, mate? And you know, it pisses me off sometimes when you read this. I shouldn't read it, but I do, and you know, it's really bad. Riders don't want to guest anymore.
And on to tonight's fixture. Obviously we're 20 points down on aggregate, but as we know, any fixture around the Coliseum's an interesting one, and you'd sorely be backing the boys, even with RR, to put on a good show against Poole tonight.
Yeah, like, it's the same as like last week. You know, we had Glasgow, or week before, whatever it was. And we had Glasgow, and they were a good side. We went RR, but the boys dug deep, they worked with each other, and we got the win. You know, and maybe we can try and do that tonight. I know Poole's a different story because they got, you know, 4 good elite leaders and everything. And they are a good side, and they should win the league and win everything this year. But, you know, we'll give them a good old go, and let's see if we can do a Glasgow on them.
Lovely. Garry, wish you some better luck tonight.
Thank
and
you.
All the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Tom, welcome back to Devon. I know this is probably something you get asked a lot wherever you go in nowadays, but just recap the last 6-8 weeks for yourself personally before we get on to tonight. It's been a busy summer. Obviously, British final, did well there, then on to the Speedway Nations, then on to the Grand Prix. What great experience this summer.
Yeah, so on like a personal note, things have been going pretty well, which is always nice. Obviously, whenever you're going good in Speedway always seems to be pretty fun. But obviously, Speedway can also be a little bit up and down. So no, so far so good, and obviously really enjoying the season so far, and I have to thank the clubs for that really, and my team, management, and everyone like that. So no, we're here and we're obviously enjoying it. So. And
while things have been going well personally, things have been going great for the Pirates, top of the league, heading into this final couple of fixtures before the playoffs. Just sum up what great team spirit's been in the Pirates camp all year.
Yeah, it's been really good. Matt, Danny, Midlow, Javi, everyone knows kind of how to put a good like team together, and they also expect, you know, everyone to get on good, and you know, fortunately for them too, we also do. Everybody wants people to go win their next race, and you can see that when we race now. You know, I mean, everyone's clicking really well. Everybody's talking in the pits. We're always making decisions like as like a team, rather than like a team full of individuals. So. Yeah, good, fantastic, and obviously been like a huge part in my career to actually be a part of.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously we're coming into tonight's fixture, a 20-point lead on aggregate. It's obviously a totally different track, the Coliseum to Wimborne Road. Just what sort of test are you expecting tonight from the Gladiators?
A big one. Plymouth are really good at home, and they always have been. You know, it's kind of like notorious. You know, everybody comes here and they actually struggle. We're looking to change that round tonight. We're looking at trying to sort of put them on the back foot. I think we all know what we're capable of, and obviously 1 to 7 we're pretty strong. Obviously missing Toby today, which is a huge shame, and we obviously wish him all the best. And he'll obviously will be back soon. But No, we're ready. We're here. So all we can do is kind of like do our best, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Now, when I spoke to Simon Lambert here a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned that finishing top wasn't Scunthorpe's aim. Finishing top for Poole is the aim going into the playoffs, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you know, he obviously wouldn't want to finish top, right? I mean, you have to be silly to kind of not say that. So yeah, we're here. We're obviously here to win. Everybody's here to do the same thing, and if we can finish top, that'll be great. Ultimately, doesn't really affect things too much, but to kind of be on that, to be on that top step going into the playoffs, obviously means a lot.
Lovely. Have a good, clean, safe meeting, Tom.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
So here are the lineups for tonight's meeting. For the home team, the Gladiators, once again rider replacement at number 1. Alfie BOWTELL at number 2. Dan Thompson at 3. Number 4 is Patrick Baek. Ben Barker captains at number 5. Joe Thompson at number 6 and Jacob Hook at 7. And the team manager, as always, Garry May. For the visitors, the Pirates, Richard Lawson at number 1. Sam Hagon at number 2. Ben Cook captains at number 3. Zach Cook at 4. Tom Brennan at number 5. Number 6 is Paul Starke guesting. And also guesting number 7, local rider Ben Trigger. The team manager for the Pirates, Neil Middleditch. Now let's go live trackside, where I believe we've got Joe down, looking at the pits.
Cheers, Gareth. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Plymouth Coliseum. And don't be fooled by the beautiful weather that we are graced with at the moment. I can assure you this is not August bank holiday weather here in Devon, and I can confirm 4 layers are currently being deployed. But we have got Speedway on the track this evening. It was a damp night here in Plymouth, but thankfully the sun is out and we've got the track in great shape. Mark and the team have done a wonderful job here this evening as we take a look into the Poole Pirates pits first. Top of the league, the Poole Pirates, and there's a very cool looking Ben Cook, the captain of the Pirates. We'll be looking to round off in style tonight at the Coliseum. Of course, it's unusual to get to August bank holiday, and this is only the second fixture between the Gladiators and the Pirates. Normally we've raced against the Pirates a few times before this point, as we see Tom Brennan, of course, fresh from his exploits at Cardiff last weekend in the Speedway Grand Prix. Did himself very proud at the Principality Stadium last week. Good to hear from Tom earlier on, joined by Paul Starke in the pits. Paul, who's guesting in place of the injured Vinnie Ford this evening. Ben Trigger, who we saw a little bit earlier, he's in place of Tobias Thompson. We send our best wishes to Tobias and Vinnie at the moment. There's ex-Gladiator Zach Cook. We've seen Zach a few times down here in Devon this year already, in various guises, guesting for different teams, but he's here for his Pirates this evening. We'll be looking to put on another strong showing, and then we look at the Pirates 1 and 2 combination of Sam Hagon, of course, earlier in the season winning the British Under-21s Championship. Haven't seen him down in Devon since, but he'll be looking for a big night once again. And then Richard Lawson, who always goes well around the Coliseum, and we'll be looking to put on another good show. As we head into the home pits, you can see an empty bay to our left. There is no guest here this evening. Unfortunately, it will be rider replacement for the Gladiators. Patrick Baek, who will be looking to build on that fantastic 5 paid 8 here last time against the Glasgow Tigers. Of course, with that brilliant 5-1 with Dan Thompson in the middle of the fixture. As we head down, see a very happy looking Mark Phillips back on Ben Barker's machinery this evening. Then we head into Thompson Corner. This almost is now. Dan and Joe sort of making it their home now in this corner of the pits area, both in really good form. And a very cool, calm and collected looking Jacob Hook with some well-placed birthday banners in the corner, so best wishes to Jacob for his birthday earlier in the week. Looking fairly relaxed in now what is his trademark bucket hat around these parts, but they'll be hoping to build on that big win against Glasgow last week. There's Alfie BOWTELL, just sharing a laugh and joke with several people in the pits. Alfie often goes well around the Coliseum, particularly this season, having a really good year, Alfie, and chipping in away from home as well. But it's a good atmosphere down here. Obviously, penultimate home fixture at the Coliseum, so there's only 2 fixtures left on home shale for the home side. Do have to still squeeze in an away trip to Workington, more on that a little bit later on. But this is almost the swan song for the 2024 season. As we take a look at Alfie's machinery, just about to get ready for the Riders' Parade around the Coliseum here. The order been given to the Pirates to get their 1 to 7 ready. But we're set fair for a good meeting. As I say, the weather is fair for the rest of the night. It won't be particularly warm. I think a fair bit of advice has gone around many messaging groups for people to remember their winter weather gear in August. Who'd have thought we'd get to that stage? We see Danny Ford stepping in for Neil Middleditch this evening, having a good chat with Garry May. Good to see Garry was in fighting talk, wasn't he, earlier from Garry when we spoke to him. He's in good form, Garry. Very proud of the team's efforts up in Redcar last night. Just a 6-point defeat, and in old money that would have been worth a point to the Gladiators, but not in the world of aggregate points. And so I think we're not too far away from the track parade. It's all fairly calm down here at the moment, but it's about to ramp up a notch. And the Pirates defending a 20-point aggregate lead coming in here. 55-35 was that scoreline at Wimborne Road earlier in the season, so the Gladiators will be looking to try and restore a bit of pride in this matchup as we head up. So we'll head up back to the commentary gantry, and we'll see you in a couple of seconds. And so, through the powers of technology, we are live from the commentary gantry here at the Plymouth Coliseum. You are very welcome to Gladiators TV. As Gareth mentioned, my name's Joe Bell. I will be your commentator and pits reporter. Hopefully Matty Bates, former Plymouth Devils rider and Centurions team manager, will be joining us a little bit later on. But for the time being, you're stuck with my dulcet tones as you were for the Glasgow fixture 2 weeks ago. We had a lot of fun in that one, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun here this evening. It is a gorgeous evening. As I say, you wouldn't have assumed that was going to be the case earlier on today. It was a very wet evening in this part of Devon last night, and we had a real heavy shower around lunchtime, but Mark and the track team have done a great job, as I mentioned, getting the track in really good shape. Good crowd in tonight as well. A healthy contingent made the trip from Dorset. As we take a look at Zach Cook, looking cool, calm and collected. As I say, Zach's been a regular visitor to the Coliseum this year. And we're just here, and we're going to have a delay for the time being, because we've actually got a queue of people trying to get into the gate, which is great to see on this August bank holiday weekend. Large crowd, it looks like it's going to be here at the Coliseum. And Gareth Bemister of the Gladiators TV Parish is just announcing that at the track shop, if you are coming down to the Coliseum next week, of course, one home fixture left, you can still pick up your Rider of the Year slips. They are in the track shop at the moment, and we look forward to the end of season awards being announced once the season is over. But we still have a couple of meetings to go, including this important one tonight. It's always a fiercely contested fixture between the Gladiators and the Pirates, and as I say, it really is quite peculiar that we're at almost the end of August, and this is only the second time that the Pirates will have been to the Coliseum. They're usually much more regular visitors to these parts of Devon than they have been this year, but such was the way with the Knockout Cup changing that Plymouth this year ended up with a fixture against Scunthorpe rather than the token fixture against Poole. So we take a look at Maximus. He's got a good job tonight. He'll be relishing this with a large crowd in, trying to get the crowd going. He sets off on his first lap of the evening, making his way round bend one past the bar. Famous bar bandits in the corner. They'll be in good voice tonight, I'm sure, as he makes his way around to the Colin Hill stand. They're also bound to be in good voice as well. Notice in the last few meetings, whilst I've been on comms, we've had several loud roars when there have been Gladiators 5-1s, and I'm sure tonight will be no different. And it looks like we're not too far away now of bikes coming out onto the track. Sam Hagen just going to have a word with Rob Duran, the clerk of the course. Richard Lawson it is, though, who show the Pirates onto the track first. Lawson, who has ridden briefly for Plymouth in the past, but now a firm favourite at Wimborne Road. Certainly knows the time of day, certainly knows his way around this track as well. A couple of ex-Gladiators, as we mentioned, in the pits in the lineup for the Pirates tonight. Paul Starke and Ben Trigger down at reserve. As Alfie BOWTELL makes his way out on track, he'll be the first of the Gladiators. With Tobias Thompson and Vinnie Ford out this evening, we send our best wishes to both riders. never nice when a rider has to miss a meeting, and we wish them both well. Makes for an interesting matchup at reserve tonight, with Trigger and Starke going up against Thompson and Hook, who've been in relatively good form for the Gladiators, particularly around their home track. They often do quite well in their races, and they'll be hoping that today is no different as the Gladiators make their way round to the start line, and they'll soon be introduced to the crowd by Gareth. See Sam Hagen just stepping out onto the track. That isn't rainwater you can see on the track there. The track has still been well watered. It was quite dusty here for the Glasgow fixture. And the track work that went on during the winter, that we really must praise Mark and the team every week for what they did. It was fantastic in the conditions they had to work in to get the track ready for the new season. I think it's safe to say without that track work and raising bends 3 and 4, with the way the sea level is down here at the Coliseum, with all the rain we had last night, it certainly would have made for a different looking track here tonight. But you can see the riders just checking out their start gates. We'll soon have the coin toss as well. Rob Duran will be down there throwing the coin into the summer sky for Ben Barker and Ben Cook to decide what they want to do. Ben will of course call as the away team captain. There goes the coin. The two Bens and Poole have won the toss. Ben Cook makes his decision, and Gareth will soon tell us what it is that the decision has been made. And here we go. And Poole have taken 1 and 3. So if you are filling out your own programme at home, you'll be looking at column B. So Poole Pirates will be off 1 and 3 in heat number 1. The Gladiators will get the choice in heat number 15. But that is a long way away yet. Heat number 15, we've 14 other heats to go. And this really should be an interesting meeting. I know with a 20-point aggregate lead, it would be safe to say that the Pirates are very firm favourites to take that bonus point, but Garry May will have the bit between his teeth. He'll be looking to try and get another win on the board at home. Home form's been good of late. And we're going to get introduced to Richard Lawson first. Lawson with a wave to the home crowd.
And riding at number 2 for the Pirates, Sam Hagen.
Sam Hagen at 2, rode well round here earlier in the year in the under-21s qualifier. Went on to win that championship, of course, at Glasgow. Ben Cook at 3, the captain of the Pirates. Become a real star man for the Pirates, as is his brother Zach, ex-Gladiator. Always goes well around the Coliseum. Here is fresh from the Grand Prix, Tom Brennan. I'm sure there will come a point where Tom will get bored of being asked about it. But we're not at that point just yet. There's Poole Starke. He certainly knows his way around the Coliseum. Many times he's been round here, but he's not done as many laps as this lad. Ben Trigger gets a jovial reception from the home crowd, which amuses his dad Lee. So rider replacement at 1 for the Gladiators. There's Alfie BOWTELL at 2.
At number 3, he continues to bang in the
and here is Dan Thompson. A superb night last night up at Redcart. Superb night here a fortnight ago, and we're looking to build on that this evening. There's Patrick Baek. He'll also be looking to build on that good night 2 weeks ago. Ben Barker back in form, looking a lot more comfortable back on the bike now, Ben. Great to see. All action, thoroughly entertaining rider, Ben Barker.
And number 7, he's celebrating his birthday this week.
And here we go, here's the birthday boy, Jacob Hook. Birthday earlier in the week. Let's hope it's a good night for Jacob as the riders set off on their practice starts here at the Coliseum. And the riders will now go down the back straight and take their practice starts. And shortly after they return to the pits, I'm sure then we will hear who will be taking the rider replacement ride for the Pro Park Plymouth Gladiators here in heat number 1. History has tended to show us this season that it's Ben Barker who comes out in heat number 1. When Garry May has operated rider replacement, it's tended to be Ben Barker, but regular viewers of Gladiators TV will know I'm not a huge fan of Garry May roulette. So I'll leave it to Gareth to tell us who it is who will be coming out onto the track. in red, and we'll get that news very soon to you. As I mentioned, great to see such a good number of Poole fans spending their August bank holiday Saturday here in Devon. All very welcome at the track, and any Pirates fans joining on Gladiators TV, you are very welcome as well. Please don't think I'm lying when you see these conditions and you hear me say it's not warm, because it's certainly been warmer down here at the Coliseum this year, and it'll probably be warmer next week, but it is quite chilly this evening. There you can see it. It looks glorious, it really does, and we shouldn't complain about it. As the British nation, we're good complainers, and we shouldn't complain when we finally get some nice weather. Tom Brennan will be the last one off the track, and then the 2 minutes will be put on by a referee this evening. Mr. Kennett will put on the 2 minutes very soon, and then we will get underway as we prepare for heat number 1. Just to let you know, watching at home this evening, we are down a cameraman this evening, so Paul, who's usually on our roving cameras, is a jack of all trades this evening and be doing it all, and he'll be doing a very sterling job of it, I'm sure. So do bear with us with the camera angles we get, but as always we will try and get you the best possible pictures here on Gladiators TV. And there is your 2 minutes time allowance for heat number 1. And we are just hearing over the sound system, I think I heard Ben Barker's coming out in red. So it's 1-0 to me on the game of Garry May Sudoku this evening. Simon Humphrey-KENNETT, as I mentioned, is our referee here tonight. He's put the 2 minutes on, and we will soon be getting underway. If you joined us earlier in the year for the BSN clash down here, you know it was a thoroughly entertaining fixture, as it often is, between the two teams. And tonight it's bound to be no different, and I can confirm Ben Barker it is who will come out in the red helmet colour, and he will fly off gate number 4 in heat number 1, but we'll confirm the lineup to you when the riders get round to the start. Sam Hagen will be the first one to the start, and he immediately gets to work on packing in the dirt to where he wants to start in the opening heat. As the riders do begin to make their way round, Alfie BOWTELL, as is his wont, will be the last one round to the start. And here is your lineup then for heat number 1 of the penultimate clash of the season in the Cab Direct Championship for the Gladiators. Off the inside in yellow is Sam Hagen. Gate number 2 in blue is Alfie BOWTELL. Gate number 3 is the Pirates number 1, Richard Lawson. He will ride in the white helmet colour, and off the outside is the Gladiators captain, taking the rider replacement ride, Ben Barker, in red. And so here we go. A couple of months after the Pirates were last in town, we're about to renew the rivalry. A rivalry that is always fiercely contested, always done in good nature. It's always about the battle of being the best southern club. And the Pirates sitting at top of the championship this year, they're having another mighty fine season. Alfie BOWTELL is the last one in line, and the start marshal will move out of his way. The tapes rise, and away we go. Sam Hagen it is, he gets bogged down at the start, but Richard Lawson makes a flyer, and it's Richard Lawson off gate number 3 who gets across to take the lead. Alfie BOWTELL is slotted into second place. Ben Barker finds himself in third, and Sam Hagen is adrift at the back of the field, but Richard Lawson out in front. As I mentioned earlier on, a former Gladiator at the end of 2021. He certainly knows his way around the Coliseum, and he's often very quick round here, and he continues to show the way at halfway, and he's opening up a healthy gap now to Alfie BOWTELL. Ben Barker is slotted into third place. He's happy to shepherd Alfie home to bring home the 3-3 with Sam Hagen at the back, but they've got a lap to go, and Richard Lawson is absolutely flying out in front of the heat opener of the evening. He's pulling further clear of Alfie BOWTELL, and he's not going to relent. Into bends 3 and 4 he goes, and Richard Lawson will get the night off to the dream start for him with a win in heat number 1. Lawson takes it in white. Alfie BOWTELL slots home in second, with Ben Barker filling the minor places. And Sam Hagen, unfortunately, after that slow start, couldn't land a blow in heat number 1, but Richard Lawson was out of gate number 3, away and gone. And neither Alfie BOWTELL nor Ben Barker could really lay a glove on him, as Lawson comes around to take the applause of a few Pirates fans in the NHS stand, and he gets the night underway with a win in heat number 1 in white. Second in blue was Alfie BOWTELL. Third in red was Ben Barker. And fourth in yellow was Sam Hagen. I didn't quite catch the time of that one, but I think I heard the numbers 52 in there somewhere. But Richard Lawson it is who flies round. We've got a bit of Elton John on the tannoy, but let's take it from the start. Then you'll see Lawson in gate number 3 in the white helm colour, Ben Barker coming off the outside. Start marshal calls them in. Alfie last to the tapes, and we'll see here as the tapes rise. Richard gets a really good bit of grip off gate number 3, cuts across Alfie, as we mentioned so many times on Gladiators TV. That's what you've got to do from the outer gates, just get across to that first bend in front, and away he goes from here. He just gradually ekes out a few more bike lengths each lap and looks silky smooth out in front. But it's a 3-all to start with, and we do expect it to be a tight competitive meeting, and that shows it exactly as the night will go. So here we go then. We've got the 2 Pirates guests coming up to the tapes to join that formidable Gladiators pairing, and off the inside in red is Joe Thompson. Gate number 2 in white will be Paul Starke. Gate number 3 will be Jacob Hook, and off the outside gate in yellow is local boy Ben Trigger. Ben, who was a part of that red car side last night, who got that 6-point win over the Gladiators on their home track around the Echo Arena. Ben will certainly be looking to put on a show tonight in front of his native crowd, if you like. Back on home soil, but as an opposition rider for the second time this season. Put in a couple of appearances for the Pirates of late. Has Ben, deputising in place of the injured Vinnie Ford. And tonight, as I mentioned, he's in place of Tobias Thompson, with Paul Starke in place of Vinnie. And as mentioned earlier, Jacob Hook, who was 22 earlier in the week, will be looking to try and get himself a celebratory win at some point this evening. Hopefully it will come here in heat number 2. They've had a really good year this year, the 2 reserve pairings, particularly at home. Let's see how they go against the Pirates then. The start marshal will move out of the way for heat number 2. The tapes rise and away we go, and Joe Thompson's made it off the inside. He's followed through by Paul Starke, who's going to try and go around the outside, but Joe cuts him off going down the back straight. And it is Joe Thompson, and he shows away. Paul Starke's got bike problems, unfortunately. Paul Starke pulling up there on bends 3 and 4, and that allows Jacob Hook to slot through into second place. And this is perfect for Garry May's men, as Jacob Hook slots through into second. Ben Trigger's back in third. But as they complete lap number 2, the Plymouth boys are out in front. Joe Thompson showing away, as he so often does in heat number 2 around the Coliseum. He's got such a great record in this particular heat. Now Ben Trigger is just starting to apply some pressure on Jacob Hook, back for second and third place. They've got a lap to go. What can Ben do with 226 metres of the Coliseum? He's trying the inside line to try and get past Jacob, but it looks like Jacob might just have his number called here as they come round towards the start line. Joe Thompson it is who takes the maximum in heat number 2, with Jacob Hook following him through in blue. Third in yellow then will be Ben Trigger, but Paul Starke plagued with machinery issues early in the heat, and it is yet another 5-1 for this pair at home. They have such a good record here in heat number 2. And Joe Thompson comes around at 54.55. And that really is the tonic that Garry May would have wanted. And it is a 5-1 with a win in red for Joe Thompson. Second in blue was Jacob Hook. Third in yellow was Ben Trigger. And fourth, and retiring unfortunately on bend number 4, was Paul Starke. So it's 8-4 to the Gladiators on the night, and that just brings the aggregate score down just a touch. Just allows Garry May that half glimmer of hope that he might be able to turn it around. But let's take the replay, and we'll see Joe make a really good gate. Paul Starke, to be fair to him, makes a good gate as well. Off gate number 2, it's those inside gates that worked in this heat. You see Paul try to follow Joe around, but this is where Joe's just going to be a little bit smart and drift off towards the boards. And this, unfortunately, is where Paul suffers machinery issues, and that allows Jacob Hook through into second. And Ben Trigger, as the race went on, did gradually apply more and more pressure to Jacob Hook, but he didn't quite have the speed to get past, and that allowed the Gladiators to bring home the maximum. As the riders make it up to the tapes already for heat number 3, we are rattling on with the action here this evening. Off the inside in white here we will have Ben Cook. Off gate number 2 in blue will be Patrick Baek. Gate number 3 in yellow will be Zach Cook. And off the outside in red will be Dan Thompson. As mentioned, Dan's been in superb form for the Gladiators of late, and he's got Zach Cook to his inside. Ben Cook will be the furthest possible rider away from him here. Patrick Baek could do with getting a good start to limit Ben's progress to allow Dan around the outside. Hopefully. As mentioned, Patrick Baek with that Heat 9 maximum with Dan here a fortnight ago that really did raise the roof around the Coliseum. 43.59 is the progressive aggregate score so far. So it is down to 16 points. You will find me throughout the evening trying to be ever the optimist. Anything is possible in sport, anything is possible in motorsport. The riders are at the tapes end for heat number 3. Ben Cook and Zach Cook up against Dan Thompson and Patrick Baek. The green light is on, the tapes array, and Dan Thompson's trying to go widest of them all. Patrick Baek is going with the Cook brothers, but Zach's going to try and slot around the outside. Meanwhile, coming up the inside is Dan Thompson. Now Dan's going to try and go up the inside here of Ben Cook, who drifts up towards the boards. Now this is going to be a really interesting battle here as Patrick Baek has been squeezed out to the back. And now Dan Thompson trying to go up the inside of Ben Cook, off bend number 2 down the back straight. Can Dan try and build up the speed? He looks quick, but so does Ben Cook out in front. Zach Cook has now lost a little bit of ground on Dan and has slotted into 3rd. Patrick Baek continues to be at the back, so they've got 1 lap to go. And out in front in white is Ben Cook. 2nd in red is Dan Thompson. 3rd in yellow then is Zach Cook, and Patrick Baek has become adrift at the back. But with half a lap to go, Ben Cook is looking stylish out in front here. Just drifts up towards the air fence, which might allow Dan Thompson a bit of a gap, but it wasn't to be. And Ben Cook and Zach Cook bring home a heat advantage to the Pirates. It's a 4-2 in their favour, with Ben taking the win. It does keep the Gladiators in front on the night, but it does reaffirm the Pirates' dominance on that aggregate point. Unfortunate for Patrick, just got squeezed out in that first bend. 53.16 was the time. So the win in white was Ben Cook, 2nd in red was Dan Thompson, 3rd in yellow was Zach Cook, and 4th at the back was Patrick Baek. But it's a win for Ben, who gets one over Dan Thompson so far, and it is now 10 points to 8 on the evening as we get ready for heat number 4 here at the Coliseum. Max is making his way up the home straight, but let's take the replay of heat number 3, and we're going to see a really fair opening exchange here between the Cook brothers and Patrick Baek. Dan Thompson just couldn't quite get the drive to get across. He had to sort of go around the long way and then cut up the inside, which worked to his advantage. We're going to see it here. He's 4th going into bend 1, but watch this cut back here up the inside from Dan, and that allows him, there was an avenue there that Patrick created to allow Dan through into 2nd place. And Ben Cook just drifting off bends 3 and 4. Almost on every lap there you just saw Ben drift up towards the air fence. Dan looked here like he might have had the speed to get up the inside of Ben Cook, but it wasn't to be on that occasion. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of other battles throughout the evening between Dan and Ben Cook, as the riders are now going to make their way round to the start for heat number 4. And Ben Barker will be looking to build on that 1 point in heat number 1. Up against Tom Brennan on his inside here. So here is the lineup then for heat number 4. And off the inside in yellow is Ben Trigger. Gate number 2 in blue is Jacob Hook. Gate number 3 in white, having his first ride of the evening, is Tom Brennan. And off the outside gate in red will be Ben Barker. So Ben's 2nd foray off gate number 4, which so far has yielded just 4 points. I say just 4 points. 4 points in 3 races isn't a bad return so far for the outside gate, but Ben will be looking to notch up a win as quickly as he can off it, particularly in this heat. And this really will be a good fight going into bends 1 and 2 with Tom Brennan and Ben Barker. Riders just finishing their last little bit of checks down at the start line. Start marshal very soon, and just on cue starts to call them into line. He'll be wanting to crack on with it, as Ben Trigger and Jacob Hook will be the last 2 into line. Tom Brennan and Ben Barker going off the outside 2 gates. And here we go then for heat number 4. 10-8 on the night. Green light is on and the tape tries, and away we go, and it looks like a really good start for the Plymouth boys. Jacob Hook made it off the inside and Ben Barker follows him around And the Plymouth boys are on a maximum here. Now what can Tom Brennan do? He's going to have to try and go wide around Jacob Hook, but Jacob rides an intelligent line. Ben just takes a little look there coming out of bend number 4. He might need to have another look in a second. Jacob just lifts coming off bend number 2. Now that will allow Tom Brennan an opportunity here with Ben Trigger at the back. So they've completed half distance. And Ben Barker it is, who's now stretching his legs out in front. Tom Brennan going high and wide. He's trying to generate the speed for a one-lap assault on Jacob Hook. Jacob's going to have to be wise with 226 metres to go. He's got a Grand Prix star chasing him down, and Tom Brennan slings it up the inside, and Jacob's down into the air fence. And Ben Barker swings round off bend number 4. Jacob is still down. The red lights have now come on. The race is over. Ben takes the win. Second home in white there was Tom Brennan. Ben Trigger now making his way over the start line into third. We're going to check on Jacob, who is down, just being checked out by one of the track staff. Tom Brennan goes over to check on his well-being. Tom threw it up the inside of Jacob going into bend 1, and unfortunately Jacob had to drift wide and met the air fence. Jacob is back up on his feet. Ben Barker it is who will take the win, and we'll just await the result from the referee's box as to what it is going to happen. I'm not too sure anything will come of Jacob's fall, unfortunately, for a Plymouth point of view, but it's great to see him back on his feet. Just having a chat with Garry May as he makes his way back. Let's take a replay. There you can see Tom Brennan come up the inside. There's absolutely no contact, and Jacob unfortunately loses the line he wanted to take and then made contact with the air fence. So sad way for Jacob's race to end there. He was doing a sterling job for 3 laps. And Tom Brennan, we mentioned as he came off bend number 2, really did generate some speed to try and get close to Jacob, and it was an aggressive move up the inside, but a fair one with no contact being made. And the race has been awarded to Ben Barker, so there will obviously be no time. And I presume it will just be a 3-3 here. And Jacob Hook has been deemed the stoppage. So second in white will be Tom Brennan, and a point for Ben Trigger. So it is a 3-all. And there is your confirmed result. 13-11 is the overall score, but Ben Barker takes the win in red. Second in white was Tom Brennan. Third in yellow, and a point to his name for Ben Trigger. And unfortunately falling at the back there was Jacob Hook. But as we mentioned, great to see Jacob back up on his feet, which is the important thing. Let's take that replay once again. You'll see Tom Brennan go up the inside, and Jacob looked at the line he wanted to take, but that's where Tom Brennan's bike was, and he bailed out into the fence, and he did make a fair clout into it. The track team are just repairing just a little bit of work at the bottom of the air fence, you can see there. Just making sure everything is above board and ready to continue with the meeting. I think one of those advertising banners came off in the process, but that's been replaced. And thankfully Jacob walked away unscathed. So it is a 3-all. 13-11 is the score on the night. 48-66 on aggregate. And 4 points to that man in shot there. Ben Barker, to his name already. 1 win in his second ride. Looked good out in front there. Was a really good ride from Ben to get the win. Looked quick. And as mentioned beforehand, looking really comfortable on the bike at the moment, which is the best thing of all. He struggled with his injuries this year. Just going over to greet his public, greet his masses, have a little word over the air fence to a few people. Ben, a very popular rider in these parts. Danny Ford just went for a chat to Rob Duran, probably to find out when we're getting going, and we're going to get going pretty quickly. 2-minute time allowances on for heat number 5. And we'll see that man from heat number 1, Richard Lawson, back out. As I say, apologies I didn't quite catch the race time, but I did hear the numbers 52 mentioned, so hopefully I wasn't too far wrong with that. As here comes Sam Hagen and Richard Lawson out onto the track then. The Pirates looking to try and get back to parity on the night. Every win is important, particularly this stage for the Pirates. Every win builds momentum heading into those playoffs, and they are looking fairly formidable at the top of the table at the moment. The Pirates having a really good run of form of late. Suffered that unfortunate defeat the other week against Oxford. But here come the Gladiators pairing. Dan Thompson out in red here. He will be coming off gate number 1. And here comes Patrick Baek off 2. He will hope to be a little bit more on the pace here as we reach less than a minute stage on the time allowance. But both riders making their way around. And Dan Thompson, you can see slotting into gate number 1 in red. Gate number 2 in yellow will be Sam Hagen. Gate number 3, when he gets around, will be Patrick Baek. And off the outside, the Pirates' main man, Richard Lawson in white. He'll be looking to carry on where he left off in heat number 1. Getting the better of Alfie BOWTELL and Ben Barker. Richard Lawson, as I mentioned, who rode briefly for the Gladiators in 2021, has worked with Garry May a couple of times back at Somerset. Garry will know his character. He knows what a good rider he is, particularly around these championship tracks. Always a man you want on your side to generate big points, and he's doing that for the Pirates this year, and he'll be hoping to notch another win on the board here in heat number 5. The green light's on, the tape's rise, and Dan Thompson's made it off the inside. He sort of pushes Patrick Baek wide, and Richard Lawson's generating speed around the outside and gets around the outside of Dan Thompson. And now Dan will try and have the bit between his teeth to get after Richard Lawson, who looks quick out in front. Patrick Baek has slotted into 3rd place, and he's got a few bike lengths on Sam Hagen at this stage of the race. But as they come up to complete half distance of heat number 5, out in front in white is Richard Lawson. 2nd in red will be Dan Thompson. 3rd in blue is Patrick Baek. He's got half a race to go to hold on to that 3rd point. And then at the back of the field is Sam Hagen. But as they head round to take the last lap flag from our start marshal, out in front is Richard Lawson, and he's looking silky smooth again now. Towards the back, Patrick Baek has lost a bit of speed. Sam Hagen is trying to gain on him, but as he comes up to take the checker flag out in front, it's going to be another win around the Coliseum for Richard Lawson in white. 2nd in red is Dan Thompson. Patrick Baek slots into 3rd in blue. And at the back of the field was Sam Hagen, who gradually did wind up the speed as the race went on, but couldn't get near Patrick Baek. But it was a really good ride from Richard Lawson to propel himself around the outside of Dan Thompson after he'd made that gate. And Richard Lawson it is then who takes the win, with Rocket Man blaring out, as I mentioned earlier, around the Coliseum. And Richard Lawson takes the win in 52.99, and he takes the win in white. 2nd in red is Dan Thompson. 3rd in blue is Patrick Baek, and 4th in yellow was Sam Hagen. So it's 16-14 on the night, 51-69 on aggregate as we take the replay. And this will be a really interesting bend 1 here from Richard Lawson. You'll see the 2 boys on the inside and outside make the gate. Dan Thompson off 1, Richard Lawson off 4. And you'll see Dan tries to push Patrick Baek wide, and this allows Richard Lawson to fly around the outside, and that's where he seals the deal. And it looks here like Dan may well have the speed to try and put Richard under pressure, but from here it's fairly comfortable for Mr. Lawson out in front, and he manages to get out in front as we take a look at Jacob Hook. All well after his fall a little bit earlier on, and he'll be back out in a few heats time to join Alfie BOWTELL. And we've just heard on the sound system here at the Coliseum that it will be Dan Thompson taking the rider replacement ride here in heat number 6. So he'll take the ride in red, he'll come off gate number 2. So of course we will just allow a little bit extra time for Dan to get himself ready. But it won't be long before we're back underway, and Paul Starke is already out on the track. 2 minutes aren't even on, but let's take a look at the gate stats as we wait for the riders to come round. 2 wins off gate number 1, nothing at the moment off gate number 2, and just 3 points to its name. 1 solitary win off gate number 3, and off the outside 2 wins off gate number 4. So you can see there 9 points apiece for gates 1, 3 and 4, and just 3 points to its name off gate number 2 with no wins. But Dan Thompson will be looking to put that right here for the Gladiators, and the 2 minutes are now on. You don't get much time. You only get a couple of minutes to sort yourself out and get ready to go again. You can see Tom Brennan down there at the start, already starting to sort out his preferred position start here in heat number 6. Tom, who's had a really good couple of years in his career, as we mentioned down in the pits. He's had a very good 2024, but the last couple of years have really been an upward trajectory for Tom. Great to see a young British rider having so much success. All started, of course, with that league title last year with Glasgow, and he looks well on his way to pick up some more silverware this year with the Poole Pirates. Really enjoying his time in Dorset, as he mentioned earlier on. But let's take the lineup then for heat number 6, and off the inside in white will be Tom Brennan. Gate number 2 in red will be Dan Thompson. Gate number 3 in yellow, Paul Starke. And off the outside gate in blue will be Alfie BOWTELL, who of course was second in heat number 1. As Dan makes his way round to the start line, and he will be the last one into line when we get to that stage. Paul Starke and Tom Brennan then up against Dan Thompson and Alfie BOWTELL. 16:14 on the night. We hope you're enjoying the coverage here on Gladiators TV. Hopefully as the night goes on we continue to have some more great racing. We just saw a wonderful move there by Richard Lawson in our previous heat. Some more of that as the night goes on will be much appreciated in front of this really large bank holiday crowd. Great to see such a good crowd in. Crowd numbers definitely have been up this summer, certainly with my viewing. Certainly looks like the last few meetings we've had good crowds inside the Coliseum, and I'm sure they're going to enjoy heat number 6 with us here. The green light's on, the tapes rise, and Dan Thompson it is who makes it off the inside. Now what can Alfie BOWTELL do? He cuts up the inside of Paul Starke, who then tries to go up his inside, and Alfie's now going to try and wind it on. Tom Brennan slide into second place. This is a really good battle at the back of the field. Paul Starke, it is who now returns the compliment to Alfie BOWTELL. But out in front, Dan Thompson once again looking sharp and quick. He shows the way from Tom Brennan as we're about to complete half distance. Paul Starke it is who slid into third place, and Alfie BOWTELL, after that really bright start, is now a few lengths adrift at the back of the field. Alfie BOWTELL adrift of Paul Starke. Tom Brennan just starting to apply a little bit of pressure with a lap to go on Dan Thompson. Alfie going wide off fence 3 and 4 to generate some speed. And here comes Tom Brennan on Dan Thompson. He's going to try up the inside, but there was no room. Now he's going to try one last late cutback. Is Dan wise to it? Looks like he is, and carries the speed over the line. And it's another win around the Coliseum for Dan Thompson. Really smart ride there. Tom Brennan put as much pressure on him as he possibly could. But a really good win for Dan Thompson, who gets rider replacement's first win of the night. And when you're operating rider replacement, you need as many points as you possibly can from that position. 53.06 was the time in heat number 6, and it was a win for Dan Thompson in red. Second in white was Tom Brennan, a point for Paul Starke back in third, and no points for Alfie BOWTELL at the back of the field, despite a really good start. So it's 19.7 on the night, 54.72 on aggregate, and a 3-all in heat number 6. And let's take it from the start, and this really is a tale of, it's almost like a tale of two halves, to coin that football cliche. You'll see Dan Thompson make a really good gate, and Alfie BOWTELL wasn't too far behind him, and Paul Starke and Alfie traded blows on lap number 1, swapping positions as they wanted. There's Dan cutting across, and this is where Alfie cuts up the inside of Paul Starke, and then Paul Starke says, well, anything you can do, I can do the same, as he switched around the outside. Alfie trying to keep it wide, but Paul Starke it was who cut back up his inside and managed to get the 3-all secured for the Pirates. So it's 16.14 on the night, 51.69 on aggregate. And you just see there, this is where Tom Brennan just starts to wind the pace on, but this is also where Alfie BOWTELL is trying to close in on Paul Starke as best he can with a lap to go. As we're now going to have a little wander down into the pits, so bear with us while we just change positions. Let's wander down to the pits area so we can see as Mark's going to come out on the track there, see what he can do. We're going to have our first track grade of the night. A little bit later than we're used to, but let's take a look. We see the Cook brothers getting ready to come out here in heat number 7 against a really strong pairing for the Gladiators, you think, in Ben Barker and Joe Thompson, particularly around the Coliseum. There's Sam Hagon just receiving a bit of advice. So As we make our way round, Alfie BOWTELL will be really frustrated with that 4th place in heat number 6. Alfie, of course, who had a really solid outing in heat number 1 to get 2 points. But he's still got a couple of rides to make it up. You suspect he'll take one of the rider replacement rides a little bit later on. But there you can see Ben and Joe just having a little discussion. I wonder if they're talking tactics ahead of this important heat number 7. Of course, Plymouth holding a 2-point advantage at this stage of proceedings on the night. Any win's a good win at this stage of the season, even if the Gladiators are now out of playoff contention with that close defeat last night up at Redcar. Really was a good effort from the boys last night in the northeast. 48-42 was the final score, and by all accounts from some of the lads who travelled up there, some of the Plymouth supporters, really proud of the team's efforts. All seems fairly relaxed down here at this stage of the evening in the Plymouth pits. Patrick Baek just having a look to see when he comes out. Of course, he'll be back out in heat number 9 alongside Dan Thompson. He'll be looking to build on that good score he got in his last ride. Alfie just starting to make some adjustments now. It's reached that stage of the evening now where the riders have a relatively good understanding of what the track's doing, even with this track grade going on, that they know where they want their setup to be. And Alfie, you can see, meticulous in what he's doing, and will be looking to make as many smart changes as he can, just trying to cool his equipment down, which is quite ironic given how fresh an August evening this is. Let's take a wander back and observe what's going on in the pool pitch. See Richard Lawson, cool, calm and collected. 2 wins to his name so far. Always goes well around the Coliseum. As mentioned, a couple of stints working with Garry May previous. It's all relatively quiet down here at the moment. The Cook brothers have gone to take a look at the track work going on. Danny Ford with them and Ben Trigger. Ben, who was a big part of that Redcar team last night, getting that aggregate point win and the night win, as Mark flies round in the distance on his tractor. Just doing a little bit of remedial work to the racetrack, which has stood up well so far. Has to be said, the Cook brothers, interesting to have a brace of brothers on both teams here tonight. Obviously we've got a pair of Thompsons, we've got a pair of Cooks here this evening. Jacob Hook just giving an interview to Gareth Bemister on the centre green, sporting that rather fetching khaki green bucket hat tied around his chin. Happy birthday to Jacob for earlier in the week. Sounds like he took a night to Wimborne Road on Wednesday night. I don't think we're going to get a rendition of Happy Birthday, but a nice warm round of applause for Jacob as he prepares to make his way off the track. He'll be hoping to get back on the trail after that maximum heat number 2. Of course, he was the beneficiary of a bit of machinery issues for Paul Starke, but he'll be hoping that he can make sure that's no fluke a little bit later on. As I say, it's all very calm and quiet down here at this stage of the evening. There's not a huge amount going on. There's not a huge amount to rant or rave about at this stage. It's been a good meeting. Just 2 points in it. That's what you want in Speedway and in sport. You want good, tight, competitive fixtures, and that's certainly what we've got here this evening. But this is an important couple of heats coming up now. Heat number 7 and heat number 8. Garry will be looking to notch up as many points as we can. Patrick just looking down at his machinery. Garry May, ever the joker, just trying to put us off. There's Patrick in deep contemplation, just trying to keep his focus on the job. As I say, did pick up that 3rd place there in heat number 5, got a point to his name. He'll be hoping with a couple of rides to go. Let's see if we can grab a chat with Patrick. Patrick, just a quick word if we can. How's the track riding at this stage of the night?
It's always a challenge here, but it's like it always is.
And as we spoke before your first fixture, what's it like going to these different tracks? Obviously Plymouth totally different to Redcar last night. How are you finding the challenge of going to all these different tracks so late in the season?
Yeah, it is a real challenge. It's like night and day sometimes, but we try to listen to the other boys and what they do, and we still just try to get the best out of it every time. But it is hard. It is very hard.
And you'll be hoping now in heat number 9 in your next ride to follow up what you did a fortnight ago with Dan, following him in a 5-1, won't you, surely?
Yeah, I hope so. I have a good gate now, so let's make it.
All the best, Patrick. See you in a couple of races.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Patrick Baek, as we say, always in good form. Is Patrick, always very smiley. We've got a bike firing up behind us, maybe a bit of spare machinery going on. But let's head up to the gantry because I don't think we're too far away then from heat number 7. And just like that, we're back here at the Coliseum, back on the gantry. Sun just starting to set behind the trees. The floodlights will soon be turned on. We see a bit of work going on to Tom Brennan's machinery. There's Lee Trigger looking at Ben's bike. And as mentioned, we're about to get a couple of Cook brothers out here in heat number 7. Rob Duran gives a thumbs up to the team at the gate, and we're about to get back underway as we approach halfway in the penultimate Cab Direct Championship fixture of the season here in Plymouth. Just one more to go next week against the Oxford Cheetahs. Of course, the Oxford Cheetahs, as mentioned, were that team who stunned the Pirates at home a couple of weeks ago. Poole, who were on such a fine run at home, as they often are. Wimborne Road has always been a formidable place to go for opposition. But Oxford found the way through, and they notched up the win, and they will be the visitors here in a week's time. But let's take the lineup for what's happening presently. And off gate number 1 in heat number 7 is Ben Barker in red. Gate number 2 in white will be Ben Cook, so the two captains go off 1 and 2. Joe Thompson in blue off gate number 3. And Zach Cook will be looking to improve on that third place in heat number 3 here in his second ride. He'll come off the outside gate in yellow. So as we hinted at earlier, Gladiators with that one home fixture to come next week, and then they do also have to squeeze in a trip to Workington, which unfortunately has succumbed to the stormy weather in the north of England already ahead of tomorrow. It's been pretty attritional conditions in Workington by all accounts, and with the forecast not relenting, they have taken the early decision to call off tomorrow's fixture. So what looked a mammoth weekend of travelling for the Gladiators boys has been made significantly easier without a trip to Cumbria tomorrow. But they're on their home track here, and they've still got 8 heats to go after this one has concluded to really make a difference and carry on this good run of form at home that they're on at the moment. Victories over Berwick, Scunthorpe and Glasgow and Edinburgh in recent fixtures. 5 in a row they'll be looking for here after those 2 defeats earlier on in the season to Redcar and Workington. Riders in line, the green light is on and the tapes are up, and Ben Cook and Ben Barker it is who share the duel going into bend number 1. Ben Barker on the inside of Ben Cook, who's going to go around the outside and propel himself to the lead. And now Ben Cook it is then who'll show them home with Ben Barker in second. Joe Thompson slotting into third place with Zach Cook at the back. It's a 3-all at this stage as we prepare to take the half distance measure in heat number 7, and showing the way and looking quick and really attacking the Coliseum. Here is Ben Cook in white, Ben Barker is in second in red, third is Joe Thompson. Zach Cook just trying to send the bike wide to try and generate the speed as we had in our last heat for a 1-lap assault, but with 1 lap to go it looks fairly mundane stuff here with Ben Cook out in front, and he's really pouring it all out in front now. Ben Barker can't get close to him, but it's going to be a 3-all which will keep the Gladiators satisfied with a 2-point lead on the night. To win in white for Ben Cook, second in red for Ben Barker, a third for Joe Thompson and a 4th place for Zach Cook. Something we haven't said too often at the Coliseum this season on his appearances down here. But Ben Cook is looking really stylish out in front.
Very tight meeting.
And that just maintains the tension as we take the result. 53 seconds was the time in heat number 7, and a win in white for Ben Cook. Second in red was Ben Barker. A third in blue for Joe Thompson, and a fourth in yellow for Zach Cook. Ben Barker down in front of us having a good long discussion with his trusty mechanic Mark Simmons. Mark is Ben's right and left hand, I think it's safe to say, with his machinery. They really are a partnership that works so well together. But we'll take the replay of heat number 7. And a good clean start from the two Bens on the inside. Barker and Cook, but it's Ben Cook who just manages to cut across Ben Barker. It looks here like Barker may well have got his wheels in front, but Ben with that wider line just managed to build up a little bit more speed going down the back straight, and that's really all she wrote here. Zach Cook couldn't really apply any pressure to Joe Thompson, and a 3-all it is to keep it tight. But we're going to see Alfie BOWTELL and Jacob Hook out here against Sam Hagen and Ben Trigger, two Pirate boys already at the tapes. As mentioned, Ben Trigger's had a couple of guest bookings now for the Pirates. We've also got Rob Duran out on the track, which is interesting. Just sort of trying to signal to the two riders as the Pirates are at the tapes. I think he's going to have a word with our start marshal. 2 minutes do look like they're on. We still don't have any Gladiators on the track. We are awaiting Alfie BOWTELL and Jacob Hook here. Rob Duran's on the phone. I'm not sure he's placing his Chinese order for after tonight's clash. He's trying to get hold of our referee, Simon Humphrey-KENNETT, up in the box. Not quite sure what the delay is going to be here. Although if you are playing Garry May Sudoku at home, maybe we might be getting an early reserve change. I would be surprised. The two Gladiator boys don't look too fussed that the 2 minutes are on down in the pits. Well, certainly Alfie BOWTELL doesn't. Garry May having a conversation with him, looking out over the gantry here, and in fact the 2 minutes has now been cancelled. And we are going to have a fresh 2 minutes applied. And Joe Thompson is coming out in blue, so that was the reason behind the delay, so an early reserve switch.
So there was a bit of confusion. The reserve was being swapped for the Gladiators.
So Joe will be out in blue here in place of Jacob Hook, so that's why we had the delay, and obviously Joe riding back-to-back races. So we just had a little bit of communication issues on getting that message through to the referee. But here is your confirmed lineup then for heat number 8, and off the inside in blue will be Joe Thompson. Gate number 2 in yellow is local boy Ben Trigger, guesting for the Pirates. Gate number 3 in red is Alfie BOWTELL, and off the outside in white is Sam Hagen. So a real opportunity here perhaps for Garry May to hammer home that early advantage his side have built up in the fixture. Feast of young, exciting riders coming to the tapes here. Joe Thompson, Sam Hagen and Ben Trigger. I don't want to coin Alfie BOWTELL an experienced head, as he makes his way around to the tapes. Of course, Alfie was born in 1997, so he's a couple of years younger than me, so he is 26, so a relatively young rider. And he is at the tapes with Joe Thompson being his partner here instead of Jacob Hook. Heat number 8, often a fixture that is, or often a heat that can tell which direction a fixture is going to go for the Gladiators in recent weeks. Positive result in heat number 8 can always set it up for Garry May and his troops, and maybe that's his rationale behind bringing Joe Thompson in here in blue. So he'll come off the inside off gate number 1. Start marshal will now call them into line. Ben Trigger looks like, along with Joe Thompson, will be the last two into line. And here we go for heat number 8. We've reached halfway between the Gladiators and the Pirates, and the tapes rise, and Joe Thompson is followed through by Alfie BOWTELL, who sends it high and wide. They have a look for one another and find themselves on a maximum of heat number 8. In third place then is Ben Trigger, and at the back of the field struggling is Sam Hagon, but out in front Alfie BOWTELL shows the way with Joe Thompson in second. Ben Trigger is in third with Sam Hagon at the back, but as they complete half distance, Alfie BOWTELL, this is more the Alfie we've come to expect around the Coliseum at home, he's looking quick and smooth. Ben Trigger now trying to apply as much pressure as he can to Joe Thompson for that second place, and at the back of the field is Sam Hagon, so with a lap to go, Ben Trigger has a look around to see where Sam Hagon is, but right now he's got to try and hunt down Joe Thompson, but out in front of Joe Thompson is Alfie BOWTELL, who looks like he's going to put that fourth place behind him in his last ride and notch up a win here in heat number 8 and bring home a maximum to the Gladiators. Alfie BOWTELL takes it in red, Joe Thompson was second in blue, third in yellow was Ben Trigger, and at the back of the field was Sam Hagon. A vital 5-1 to the Gladiators, and what a smart move that was by Garry May to switch the reserves to make it a maximum for the boys, the home boys, as Alfie BOWTELL and Joe Thompson come round to take the acclaim of the NHS stand, and a warm round of applause they receive as well. Makes it 27-21 on the night. Alfie BOWTELL takes the win in red in 54.45. Second in blue for Joe Thompson, third in yellow for Ben Trigger, and at the back of the field was Sam Hagon. 27-21 on the night means it is 62-76 on aggregate, and a 5-1 to the Gladiators, just extending their lead on the night. And we'll see a really good gate by the Gladiators pairing here. This really was superb work from the pair of them. They both knew exactly where they wanted to be on the track heading into bends 1 and 2, and they executed it to perfection. Ben Trigger with a more violent lift off the start line. You see Joe Thompson clamp down the inside, and Alfie BOWTELL just sent it wide. Joe has a look to see where he is and sees him fly round the outside, and that really was all it was for the Gladiators. Fairly comfortable. Back in second was Joe Thompson. Ben Trigger did put him under pressure as the riders are around at the tape. So we will take the lineup here in heat number 9. And we've got a tactical switch in here for the Pirates. We'll come to that in a minute. Off the inside in blue is Patrick Baek. Gate number 2 in yellow is, or white, is Tom Brennan. Gate number 3 in red is Dan Thompson. And the tactical switch sees Richard Lawson replace Paul Starke off the outside in yellow. So Danny Ford responding with his own bit of tactics and brings Richard Lawson in now. He will replace Paul Starke off the outside gate. So here is a look at the Pirates pairing for heat number 13. As the 2 minutes is applied with the 4 riders at the tapes. Patrick Baek off the inside in blue. Tom Brennan off gate number 2 in white. Dan Thompson off gate number 3 in red. And Richard Lawson will try and fly out of gate number 4, as he has done on his previous ride. And he will be looking to make it 3 from 3 on the night and try to hit back for the Pirates. 6 points adrift after 8 heats. It's just 14 points, that aggregate now. It's never over till it's over, as we see Jacob Hook in good spirits. Cook brothers all ready to go for their next ride as well. An important heat number 9 then. The green light is on and the start marshal will move out of the way. The tapes rise and away we go. And the Pirates have made the gate, but Dan Thompson now cuts back up the inside to try and get the better of Richard Lawson, and he's done so. So Dan Thompson it is, who slots in his second place. Now he's trying to put pressure on Tom Brennan in white, who's out in front. Tom Brennan shows the way, but Dan Thompson is looking quick and he's all over the back of Tom Brennan. Richard Lawson going wide to try and generate some speed. So as we complete lap number 2, out in front is Tom Brennan in white. Dan Thompson has slotted into second place in red and looks quick, but so does Richard Lawson in third, and Patrick Baek isn't too far off the pace of Richard Lawson either. So as they come round to complete get the last lap underway, Patrick Baek does a 360 at the back of the field, but out in front Tom Brennan drifts wide, generates some speed and begins to pull away from Dan Thompson out in front, and it would be a 4-2 advantage to the Pirates. Not quite the tactical switch that Danny Ford would have been hoping for, but it is a heat advantage to them. Tom Brennan takes the win. Second in red was Dan Thompson, and a third in yellow was Richard Lawson. And it is a 2-4 to the Poole Pirates. Richard Lawson making his way straight back into the pits. Tom Brennan comes around to take the applause of the Pirates fans who are inside the Coliseum. 52.87 is the result. So a win in white for Tom Brennan, second in red was Dan Thompson, third in yellow was Richard Lawson, and at the back of the field, having done a full 360, if not a 720 on his bike at the back, was Patrick Baek, who just got out of shape but wasn't too far off the pace for a lot of that race. You can take a little bit of heart from that. Unfortunately couldn't quite land a blow after missing out at the gate, but it is a 2-4 and a win for Tom Brennan. It's 29.25 on the night. I think we might be able to see Patrick's little pirouette at the back here as they head into bends 3 and 4. Bike starts to go from him, and around you go, Patrick. Unfortunately, he managed to keep the partnership and managed to push the bike onto the infield as he makes his way back into the pits. He was in good spirits down there, which is good to see. It is tricky for him coming in so late in the season and having such key heats, key meetings to get on with. But it wasn't too long ago that he had that fantastic 8-point haul here against Glasgow a fortnight ago. And now we've got a brace of cooks back out here, and Joe Thompson will be out in red taking the rider replacement ride for the Gladiators. So 4-point gap on the night for Garry May's Merry Men, and they'll be looking to maintain that as best they can as we approach the start then to heat number 10. Alfie BOWTELL making his way round, and it will be Joe Thompson who will be the last one round to the start. Alfie will be looking to follow up that brilliant win in his final heat, or in his last heat, sorry, not his final heat. As they make their way round to the start then for heat number 10, and off the inside in blue will be Alfie BOWTELL. Gate number 2 in yellow will be Zach Cook. Gate number 3 in red will be Joe Thompson taking that rider replacement ride. And off the outside gate in white will be Ben Cook.
And in blue, Alfie BOWTELL.
So 4 points in it, 16 points on aggregate, as we prepare to get heat number 10 underway. We're not too far away from the interval either here at the Coliseum. Riders now just finishing off getting their setups right before we get underway. Start marshal calls them into line. What can Alfie and Joe muster up here for the Gladiators? Green light is on, the start marshal moves out of the way for heat number 10, the tapes rise, and it is Zach Cook in yellow who's made the gate, and Zach Cook it is who comes across to take the lead. Alfie BOWTELL and Joe Thompson packing the minor places at the moment with Ben Cook at the back. Zach Cook though obviously made a few adjustments and got out of the gate a lot better this time and shows them the way. Second in blue is Alfie BOWTELL who's hunting down Zach Cook, and in third is Joe Thompson, at the back is Ben Cook. But this is all fairly easy stuff out front at the moment for Zach Cook, who shows the way. What pressure can Alfie apply with just over 1 and a bit laps to go? Ben Cook will have to try and wind the pressure on himself to try and get past Joe Thompson with a lap to go, but just gets a little bit out of shape coming off the banking. Out in front, meanwhile, Ben Cook has really wound it on here and has pulled a comfortable distance away from Alfie BOWTELL. And the Plymouth Gladiators look like they're going to be content with a 3-all here. There's not much they could do about Zach Cook, who's absolutely flown round in heat number 10. Really impressive from Zach Cook, who made those necessary adjustments and absolutely flew. And managed to get himself a win to his name this evening. And that's more the Zach Cook that we've seen come around the Coliseum this season. He's been a regular visitor here, riding for the Gladiators and riding for the opposition at times. 53.51 was the winning time, and he takes the win in yellow. Second in blue was Alfie BOWTELL, and a point for Joe Thompson in third in red. And at the back of the field was Ben Cook in white. So a 3-all means it's 32.28. Garry May just issues a warm round of applause to his two riders as they come back towards the pits area. And we'll take the replay here, and this really is a jet-propelled start from Zach Cook. Off gate number 2. Tapes rise and away he goes, and he gets across the inside of Alfie BOWTELL and gets his bike in line at going down the back straight, and he just started to really increase the pace as the laps went on and gradually managed to grow the gap to Alfie BOWTELL and Joe Thompson. Ben Cook really unable to put any pressure on Joe at the back. That'll frustrate Ben, who's looked so smooth so far. He'll have been hoping to make more of an impression here. But a good solid win for Zach Cook, who's having another good season. Really impressed with a few times that we've seen Zach this year. Oh God, there they are. The Bar Bandits over on bend number 2. A little bit depleted in numbers tonight. A few of them, about 6 or 7, along with a couple other Gladiators fans, made that long trip to Redcar last night. A couple of them didn't get back until a couple of hours before the meeting. They go everywhere with Garry and the team. Really enjoy their support. Home support has been excellent down here, as always, down at the Coliseum. But let's take a message from our sponsors.
After heat 10, 32 points to 28 after heat 10 with 5 heats left to go. Once again, a reminder to everybody that you can vote for your rider of the year.
As ever, a huge thank you to our supporters and our sponsors. Sponsors do a great job in trying to promote the Gladiators, and we're going to see Jacob Hook out here instead of Joe Thompson in heat number 11. So it's all change on the programmes. Garry May, back to the Garry May form we know, chopping and changing his riders. Does it so well, so effectively. Had a fantastic career as Garry, and hopefully many more years to come with the Gladiators. Had such a successful time, didn't he, at Somerset? And Mark Phillips heading round on the tractor as we take a look. 67.83 is the progressive aggregate score at the moment, so 16 points is still that gap. It would be nice if the Gladiators could try and bring that a little bit closer towards heat 15 to give us that little bit extra excitement. Who knows, we might even see a super heat this evening. As we take a look in the pits, there's Ben Cook in conversation with Danny Ford. Danny just trying to issue some bit of a rally cry to his captain, see what he thinks of any upcoming changes. Zach will be buoyed with that win in the last heat. Ben Trigger, when am I out, boss? There's Sam Hagon. Tough night for him so far. He's better than what we're seeing. Is Sam, obviously British Under-21s champion. He's a lot better than what we're seeing so far this evening. We've seen him fly around the Coliseum before, particularly in that Under-21s qualifier, as I mentioned earlier. Alfie BOWTELL and Mark Simmons in conversation. Mark, who was such a consistent rider for the Plymouth Devils back in the day. Was great watching Mark Simmons fly around the Coliseum. Formed a great partnership with a number of Devils back in the day. Formidable with the likes of Simon Stevens and even Paul Starke as well back in those days. There's Garry, in good form tonight, Garry. As I mentioned in his interview earlier, in punchy form as well. He's got his views on things, Garry, and it's always great to hear them. He's always one you'd want to tap into his mind. He's a very knowledgeable guy, is Garry. Very passionate about his job as well. There's Joe Thompson. Great to see Joe back on a bike so quickly after that horrible incident here against Glasgow at the last fixture. It really is great to see Joe showing no ill effects of that. It looked a really serious crash, but thankfully back doing what he does best. There's Ben Barker looking probably as relaxed as he looked all season. Another one who's in good form. Great to see Ben looking a hell of a lot more comfortable on his bike at this stage of the season than what he was earlier. Let's take a look at those gate stats again, see what's improved. Well, look at gate number 2. It's like my old school reports. The improvement was needed and it came. 4 wins for gate number 2 now. 2 wins for gate number 1, 2 wins for gate number 3, and 2 wins for gate number 4. Points shared around those, 17 points apiece off 1 and 3. Let's take the team scores, which is good because I've not been filling out my programme. Alfie BOWTELL then on 7 so far, with Dan Thompson having another impressive night on 9 already. Patrick Baek 1 paid 2. Ben Barker with 6 paid 7 to his name from his 3 rides. Joe Thompson 7 paid 10 already on after 4 rides. Jacob Hook with 2 paid 3. Let's look at the Pirates. Richard Lawson with 7 points from 3 rides, 2 wins and a third. Nothing for Sam Hagen so far, as I say, he's better than that. Ben Cook with 6 points, 4 points for Zach Cook, 7 points for Tom Brennan, 2 paid 3 for Paul Starke, and 2 paid 3 for Ben Trigger, with 2 rides for Paul and 1 ride for Ben. Good evening, everybody. 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, 4. I won't go any lower, don't worry about that. But it is not a warm evening. August bank holidays are normally much warmer than this. But as I say, there is barely a cloud in the sky above the Coliseum. There's a few around it, but nothing threatening at this stage. And we're set fair for a nice evening. Hopefully the racing continues to be competitive. Hopefully it continues to be tight. Take a look at Ben Trigger and Danny Ford in good conversation. Ben's clearly enjoying his speedway at the moment. Had that wonderful experience on Thursday night, guesting for Oxford in the Premiership. What an experience that would have been, including one of his rides going up against Anders Rowe, Jankovic and Magic Janowski. As we take a look at some of the young kids in the stands this evening, they'll be coming out for the children's race at some point, I'm sure, providing we have one. Great to see families back in the Coliseum, but the 2 minutes have been very quickly put on here for heat number 11. And there's no rest for the wicked here at the Coliseum this evening. Penultimate Cab Direct Championship fixture of the year. And we're also going to see Paul Starke in yellow. I must admit I did miss that announcement, so Paul Starke will come out in yellow in place of Sam Hagen. Let's take a look at the lineup then for heat number 11. Off the inside in white is Richard Lawson. Gate number 2 in red is Ben Barker. Should be a good battle between those two going down to bend number 1. Gate number 3 in yellow is Paul Starke, and off the outside gate in blue is Jacob Hook. So then, 5 heats to go, with the caveat of a potential super heat if we need it. Now that would entertain the bank holiday or August bank holiday crowd inside the Coliseum. A super heat, but really interesting race here. Barker and Lawson off the inside 2 gates. Starke and Hook off the outer 2. Ben Barker, who in this corresponding heat a fortnight ago put Chris Harris to the sword. Cornish Pride was on the line and it was Ben Barker who took it on that occasion. Really was a great spectacle to see those pair go up against each other here a fortnight ago. And now we get to see Richard Lawson and Ben Barker go handlebar to handlebar. With vital points on the line, it's an important stage of the meeting this. What can the 2 reserve changes do on the outside? What can they do to their more experienced leaders off the inside gates? The green light is on, the tapes rise, and away we go. Richard Lawson has made an absolute flyer off gate number 1. Paul Starke is going to follow him round. This is just what Danny Ford would have wanted. Paul Starke has slotted into second place. Ben Barker is going wide. He's generating speed to try and get after Paul Starke, and he's getting that speed. He's going to have to go a little bit wider though. Jacob Hook has slotted in at the back. Richard Lawson though is making up for that 3rd place in that tactical sub ride, and Paul Starke is going to follow him home, it looks like here. What can Ben Barker do with 2 laps to go? He's trying everything he's got. He knows this place like the back of his hand. What's he got with a lap to go? Richard Lawson shows the way, has a good long lingering look for Paul Starke. He sees his teammates alongside, and this is going to level up the meeting, folks. This is the entertainment we came for. Richard Lawson and Paul Starke for the Poole Pirates level the fixture, and Richard lets Paul Starke through on the line to take the heat win. It's a win in yellow for Paul Starke. 2nd in white was Richard Lawson. 3rd in red for Ben Barker, and Jacob Hook unfortunately couldn't land a blow at the back. A punch of the air from Richard Lawson brings the meeting together, 33 apiece. Richard Lawson comes round, takes the applause of the Pirates fans amassed there on the home straight. And a big win there for the Pirates, and it's a win in red for Paul Starke. Second in white was Richard Lawson. A third in red for Ben Barker. 53.63 was your time, and a fourth in blue for Jacob Hook. So it's a 5-1 to the Pirates. And it's 33 apiece, 68-88 on aggregate. I think we can now forget that. Although we could probably forget that at the very start of the evening, given it was 20 points and a tough ask for the Gladiators after that tough night at Wimborne Road a few weeks back. But let's take it from the gate and look at that gate from Richard Lawson. It doesn't get much better than that around the Coliseum. And Paul Starke, who found himself in the middle of Ben's 1 and 2, but found the grip to get past Ben Barker. And this is where Ben goes wide onto Ben 4. Just tries to generate a bit of speed, and he looks quick. But this is just where Paul Starke just starts to ride that inside line and just starts to pull away from Ben Barker. And there's Maximus having a chat with the track staff. Try to have a look. What would you do, boss? I'd put him in here. I'd put him off that gate, and I'd put him off that gate. We've got to do something, he says. What do you think? Deep conversation with a member of the track staff. We take a look around the track. There's Gareth on the centre green filling out his programme. Doing a good job of trying to get the crowd entertained this evening, Gareth. And we're going to see Joe Thompson come out here with Dan Thompson. So we've got the Thompson twins up against Ben Cook and Paul Starke. So we're going to have a little bit extra time, I presume, so Paul can get himself ready. Vital heat number 12 coming up here, isn't it? It's 33 apiece. Tantalisingly close. Often an entertaining competitive fixture between the Pirates and the Gladiators. But let's take another message from our sponsors. Without sponsors, it would be very hard to fund Speedway teams, so we're forever grateful to them for all their work. Very loyal sponsors down here at Plymouth, as there are at every club. But the riders are now going to make their way round to the start in heat number 12, and it's the Thompson twins who will look to do the job for Garry May here. I'm sure Garry would have issued a rally cry to the two boys in the pits before they made it out onto the track. And Ben Cook and Paul Starke, Paul fresh from that maximum there in heat number 11, will be looking to repeat the dose here as they make their way round to the start. So it is evenly poised. Let's take the lineup then for heat number 12. And off the inside in yellow will be Paul Starke. Gate number 2 in red will be Dan Thompson. Gate number 3 in white will be Ben Cook. Gate number 4 in blue, having a very impressive night, is Joe Thompson. 10 points to 7 pay 10 to his name so far. And it couldn't be any better poised with that prospect of heat 13 coming up next. Usually that's where Alfie BOWTELL takes his rider replacement ride. Joining captain Ben Barker, of course Ben up against Tom Brennan and Richard Lawson in that upcoming heat. But we've got heat 12 to go first. Paul Starke off the inside, joined by Ben Cook, with the Thompson twins off 2 and 4. As they're round at the tapes. Start Marshal calling them into line then. 33 apiece on the night. Just what you'd want on a bank holiday weekend. A close competitive fixture. The Start Marshal will move out of his way with the green light on. The tapes rise and away we go. Paul Starke it is. He's made it off the inside, and Dan Thompson though is going to try that Paul Starke line from the last heat, and that allows Joe Thompson up the inside because Ben Cook is shut out going down the back straight. Paul Starke drifts off that inside line. Dan Thompson has an avenue up the inside. Can he explore it? But Paul Starke cuts to the inside. Really smart riding from Paul Starke, but Dan Thompson is quick in second, and he will now set off to try and get past Starke, who drifts wide again but has the speed building up. Now, what can Ben Cook do at the back? That's where the attention turns to. He is going very wide and has a lot of speed built up behind Joe Thompson. Meanwhile, out in front, it's all going on because Dan Thompson continues to put Paul Starke under pressure, almost alongside going into bends 1 and 2. Now Ben Cook going high and wide than anyone's gone. He's going to try and go around the outside of Joe Thompson. Can Dan do anything off bends 3 and 4? It's going to be a tie run to the line. Dan gets through! Dan Thompson on the line! A superb ride from Dan Thompson to get up on the line. God, the Plymouth crowd enjoyed that one. And so they should. A never say die ride from Dan Thompson. Absolutely magnificent. The home straight are on their feet for Dan Thompson. Absolutely superb from him. Ben Barker out to congratulate him. What a ride. Look forward to seeing that back in a minute. 53.43 was the time. Winning red for Dan Thompson. Second in yellow for Paul Starke. Third in blue for Joe Thompson. At the back was Ben Cook. But what a ride from Dan Thompson. Right when the Gladiators need it, and here we go. Paul Starke is trying that inside line and he drifts off wide like he had done for the previous 3 laps. But Dan just had enough speed and Paul left him a gap, and you can see how frustrated Paul Starke is that he just left that channel there for Dan Thompson to get through. And what a 4-2 that is for the Gladiators. Let's take a look at the heat stats while we try and calm down. And it was a win in red there for Dan Thompson of gate number 2. It's a 5th win for gate number 2. Who'd have thought that earlier on in the night? 20 points to gate 2, 21 points to gate 1 with 2 wins, 3 wins off gate 3 with 20 points. Just 11 points and 2 wins off gate number 4. And gate number 4 is where Tom Brennan will find himself in heat number 13. As we take a look at Ben Trigger and Patrick Baek, sat up on the back of the viewing podium next to us here. And we're now going to have the interval here at the Coliseum before heat number 13. Time for everyone just to catch their breath after a quite magnificent ride by Dan Thompson. Absolutely superb. And we're going to get the children's race as well, which is always a highlight of the evening here at the Coliseum. Particularly on a bank holiday weekend, as I mentioned earlier, there are quite a few families here this evening, and it really will be great to see just how many make their way out to the start line. I can see around me here there are plenty who are making their way round, as the track staff will now get a well-earned break. They can go off and get a tea or a coffee. Just take a moment to take a breath, and I think that's what everybody in the Coliseum needs to do. Superb ride from Dan Thompson. That will be one that will go up on Dan's show reel, I'm sure. Magnificent stuff from him. Just when Garry May needed it as well. You can see deep in the pits there, Garry May, a real rally cry being issued here by the Plymouth team boss. As you can see, Garry, let's take a wander in the pits, see who we can grab, and we'll be back shortly. The stands are emptying here at the Coliseum, but don't worry, it's not because it's time to go home. It is actually more to do with the fact that there is the kids' race taking place, and there are a lot of families heading down. As we look inside the pits, Garry, who'd just issued that rally cry to the boys, he'll be absolutely delighted with that. We'll see if we can try and grab a brief word with Garry, see how happy he is with that. You must be a very happy man with Dan getting through on Paul Starke there, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that was I had Dan down as a win for that one, because we looked at Cookie and we thought if we could doing some damage at the front, the first bend. He doesn't like it here, but it's proved in them 2 races. If you can gate on him, then you're going to do him, right? But Paul Starke just shocked me. But I just called him, he's a bit heavy, that's why he got out of the gate, and he couldn't come out the bends because he was too heavy. But no, it was a good laugh, but the match is really good, it's really competitive tonight, and my boys are doing the same again as what they did against Glasgow. They're just working together, and, hopefully we'll pull a result off. If not, it would have been a fantastic match, because Poole are strong, they got 4 big riders, and, what I've got, do you know what I mean? But it's what it is, and I've just got to get on with it, and I'm doing the best I can with moving the riders around, talking to them, so hopefully it's going to pay off.
I'm trying my best to play Garry May Sudoku. I'm not doing too well at the moment. But you've got a couple of aces up your sleeve, obviously, with Heat 13 coming up now. We've got to get a rider replacement out in that. And then it's a big couple of heats, isn't it? To try and send this bank holiday crowd, a big crowd, home happy with a win against the tabletop-in Pirates.
It would be nice, wouldn't it, eh? But there's 3 heats to go, and anything can happen in the Speedway, as we know the other week with Heat 14 against Glasgow. But no, we're just carry on doing our best. And, you know, Poole are very strong, and we'll just see what happens in the next 3 heats, all right?
Cheers, Garry. Speak to you at the end. Thank you very much. Garry, very happy with his work so far. As we take a look round, Dan's probably just studying his race. See if we can grab a quick chat with Dan, if possible. Just going to hand his phone over. Call Dan over. Yeah, night, but that's a satisfying way to get a win, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, I don't get many times to pass around the Coliseum. Here's my mate, but yeah, so no, it was nice to come up the inside there, and he was sort of making the same mistake for 4 laps, just coming off the curb. There's not really the dirt line there tonight, so I knew if I just come in a bit wider, one time I was going to nip up the inside and just go on the line.
How is the track riding tonight? Because it was a wet night last night, bit of rain around this morning. How's it faring out there?
Yeah, it's good. There's a bit of a patch going into bend 3, which is unsettling us all. But I just got a bit of a smoother ride coming in a bit wider than and making a turn. So no, we're putting up a fight. Poole are obviously league leaders, strong team, probably favourites for the league. So without a number 1 and a few of our boys struggling, a great performance.
And you're finishing the season in flying form. A great night at the Pairs the other week, another solid night at Redcar last night, a great night tonight. You must be really happy with how 2024 has gone, all in all.
Yeah, I am really happy. I think my form at Ipswich dipped a little bit in the last few weeks, and but the last few meetings with Plymouth have been really positive, and I'm getting back to where I want to be. And last night was awesome, tonight's going well, so I just want to finish the season strong and hopefully have plenty of offers for next year.
I suspect you're not done just yet tonight. All the best later on, Dan.
Thank you.
Dan Thompson in good nick. Great to see good team spirit with Ben Barker coming in and putting a hug around his mate as we head into the pits. Not too many Pirates around. Ben Cook will be frustrated with how his evening's gone so far. You see the 2 reserves over in the corner, Ben Trigger and Paul Starke. Just having a conversation. Ben Trigger still got 1 programme ride to come in Heat 14. Paul Starke, you would suggest, is done. See if we can catch Ben's attention, see if we can grab him. Just wave him over. Plymouth born but Redcar Bears finest, getting a win over the Gladiators last night. How was that, beating your hometown team?
It's always good. You know, we did it here, we did it up there, but it would have been nicer if I scored some more points myself. But, you know, overall, good night for the team, so can't complain.
You can't have everything. We let you win the fixture. You can't get individual points as well. How's tonight going? Obviously, a wet night last night, wet morning today. Track's a little bit patchy. Dan Thompson was just telling us there in bend 3. How are you finding it out there?
It's not bad. Obviously, I think I've already ridden it like 3 times with obviously being a new track. And, you know, there are a few bumps out there that are catching me out, but it's all at the start, really. And I'm not making starts tonight. So if I made a start, I'd make life easier for myself. But I'm not doing that yet, so if I get another ride, then hopefully I can make another start and score some more points.
Must be nice as well having a rare fixture where fixture will finish about 9:15 and you can be at home in bed by 10:15.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's the only thing I was saying about on the way down. I was loving it. Just, you know, pack up, have a nice early night, and then clean bikes out tomorrow without having to, you know, come back through the night and have another 5 a.m. Arrival like I did last night.
And these little guest bookings you picked up for Poole at the back end of the season, you must be really happy with them. Obviously, misfortunes of Vinnie Ford, we wish him well, but you know, you're the man who's capitalising it. It must be a great experience going one Wimbledon run every week.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's given me extra fixtures, and bike time is crucial at this time of year. And you know, we're starting to round out the rest of the year, so you know, the more meetings I can get in as a guest rider, then you know, I'm more than happy to take them. So you know, obviously, if Vinny's not fit, then I'm always keen to come back and ride for Poole. So, you know, well, any team really, if I can get a guest booking, I'll be there. So, yeah, if I can pick any more up, then I will, definitely.
We don't allow free promotion on Gladiators TV, Ben. Very quickly, Heat 14, 1 more ride left tonight. You'll be out with with Zach. Chance to get one big win and give it to this home crowd that once called you their own?
Yeah, it depends if I get it. I mean, Starke's just had 2 brilliant rides, so we'll see what Matt says and what Danny says, and yeah, if I'm out, then I'll hopefully get a win on the board.
All the best, Ben. Speak to you later.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Local lad done well. Ben Trigger really found his niche this season as best as he could. It's obviously tricky for a lot of these boys not getting regular rides every week in the championship with the way the fixtures are, but we're not too far away a resumption in Heat 13, so let's head back up to the gantry. Garry May's one proud team manager, isn't he, at the moment, it's safe to say. With all the trials and tribulations that the Gladiators have faced, not just this season but in recent seasons, they really are trying their best to put on a show at the moment. And they're doing everything they can tonight and hold a 2-point lead over the league leaders. And whilst the playoff dream is over for another year, for Garry May and Mark Phillips, there's pride on the line. And any win over the Poole Pirates, particularly in front of a big home crowd, is always welcome. As Mark Phillips flies round on the tractor, we take a look at Tom Brennan. Big Heat 13 coming up here, and as predicted, it will be Alfie BOWTELL out in red. He will join Ben Barker. And any sort of advantage for the Gladiators or neutral ground with a 3-3, and Garry May, you suspect, will be a delighted man up against a formidable pairing of Richard Lawson and Tom Brennan. There you take a look at Dan, I think it is, having a good chat with Alfie. It's very tricky to tell the Thompson boys apart, but that's definitely Dan. Gareth Bemister, who is doing a sterling job on the centre green, just enjoying his interval by catching up with some of the riders. There's Tom Brennan just visualising the start. Danny Ford trying his best to get another win on the board. And Richard Lawson just getting ready for a huge Heat 13. Every heat is huge in a meeting between Plymouth and Poole. This is no different. And Lawson, who was frustrated with that tactical sub ride where he only picked up the point, will be hoping to make amends here. And if the Pirates can swing it back in their favour with just 2 heats to go, the momentum really will be with them. And they'll be making it hard for the Gladiators to sign off tonight in style, but the Gladiators will give it their all. Mark retreats off the track with the tractor. There's another look at Danny in conversation with his captain. Ben Cook will be frustrated with how his evening's gone, I think. 2 really good starts, 2 really good heats to start with, and then just seemed to struggle in his last 2 rides. Ben Trigger a little bit pessimistic about his chance of coming out in 14 given Paul Starke's last 2 rides. But we get ready now then for a important heat coming up. And you can really tell that the Gladiators and Pirates fans inside the Coliseum know what is on the line here with 4 laps of the track. As Richard Lawson and Ben Barker make their way out onto the racetrack. With Alfie BOWTELL going to be the last one out.
Well, here we go, Heat 13, sponsored by
Here comes Alfie in red taking the rider replacement ride. 37.35 on the night. That's all that matters at this stage. And here is your lineup. And off the inside in red is Alfie BOWTELL. Another solid night for him with 7 points to his name. Gate number 2 in white is Richard Lawson. 9 paid 10 to his name. Gate number 3 in blue is Ben Barker, 7 paid 8 to his name. And off the outside gate with 7 points to his name is Tom Brennan. And what you can tell by those riders' scores is the points have been very much shared between all riders here this evening. You normally see 1s and 5s at this stage of the night with double figure scores. Not to be this evening, as the riders continue their meticulous work on the start gate, trying to pack as much material in as they can to give them the best possible start out of the gate. Alfie off the inside in red, Ben Barker off gate 3 in blue, Richard Lawson will come out of gate 2 in white, and Tom Brennan will be looking to try and improve gate number 4's form in yellow off the outside. Start marshal will soon be calling them into line. We won't be too far off a start, I don't think, as the clock strikes round past 8:30 this evening. We're certainly getting through it a lot quicker than what we did Glasgow a fortnight ago. But as they come up towards the tapes, Ben Barker with one last little change. Start marshal will call him forward. And Ben Barker will be the last one into line. A quick change of his starting position. And here we go for an important heat number 13. The green light is on, the tapes rise, and away we go. And the Pirates have made it with Lawson, and Tom Brennan's going to follow him round to the outside. Just what Danny Formula wanted. Ben Barker going round the outside of Tom Brennan. Is he going to make it stick going round the banking? He's now going to try and cut up the inside as Tom Brennan left the avenue. As tyres, and now they're down. The pair of them come down. The race will have to be stopped. Ben Barker and Tom Brennan tussle on Ben's one. They're both down. Tom Brennan limping away. Ben Barker is still down. And we hope that both riders will be okay. Well, Simon Humphrey-Kennett, the referee's had a quiet night up to now. He's got a decision to make here as Alfie BOWTELL clears the track. Richard Lawson, I think, has cleared the track as well. The Cook brothers have certainly gone out to check on Tom Brennan. I think we're going to need some medical assistance to both riders here. Ben Barker's still down, and they will now get the time they need. The referee's going to go and take a look at the replay in the truck. Tom Brennan sitting up on the track. Ben Barker still down, laying on his back, being looked at by the medical team. Garry May is out there as well. Some of the Poole Pirates team are over with Tom Brennan as well, just making sure he's okay. Ben Barker now sat up. Ben is now getting to his feet and walks away, just shrugs his arm a little bit. His Kevlars have seen better days, that's for sure. So Ben Barker has walked away from that incident. Hopefully he's okay. Tom Brennan now will receive the treatment he needs and get the time he needs to receive that treatment. That's all that matters at this stage. As I say, a few of the medical team are around him, so we will hope that Tom is okay. And he is now up to his feet. Might need a bit of help leaving the track though, unfortunately. He does look uncomfortable on his feet. Just in conversation with a couple of the Poole team that are over there. And Tom Brennan now limps away from the scene of the accident, which is great to see. Great to see that he's back on his feet. And fingers crossed that there's nothing serious that's happened to him there. There is Tom walking back with the Cook brothers and Danny Ford. Great to see Tom back on his feet. At first look, I must be honest, I do fear for Ben Barker here. I do worry about just how aggressive Ben was coming into Ben 1 and 2. It was a really good battle between the two of them. Let's take a look at it. Ben switches up the inside. Tom Brennan's going to try and cut him off. He comes across his line and Ben's the one who instigates the contact. And they both come to grief there on Ben 1. Tom Brennan, you can see, limping away. As I say, fingers crossed he's okay. He'll now get a bit of time to sort himself out. Let's take another look at it. You can see Tom Brennan drifts off the inside. That allows Ben Barker through. Tom Brennan puts his bike where Ben Barker wants to go. And unfortunately, Ben clatters into Tom. And on that evidence, with my limited knowledge of Speedway rules, I would fear for Ben Barker, is my gut feeling off that look. But we will await Simon Humphrey-Kennett's decision, which will be announced to the Coliseum in due course when he's made said decision. He's had a look at the replay. Let's take a look at the gate stats. 2 wins off the inside, 5 wins. That impressive turnaround for gate number 2. Gate number 3 with 3 wins, and gate number 4 with 2 wins. You can see a series of ruts there, particularly on gate number 1. I can count 6 by the looks of it. Different lines the riders are trying to take. As we take a look into the NHS stand, you can see a collection of Gladiators at the base of it. The Thompson boys, Jacob Hook, Ben Barker's down there. Obviously not feeling too many ill effects of that crash. And now we just stand and wait. There's not a huge amount to speculate on, I don't think, to seeing that replay. Garry May, Ben Trigger and Danny Ford in conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the referees can then view the
Mark Phillips is going to be the one to give the announcement.
The race will be rerun.
And it's going to be rerun. 3 riders. With a rider in blue, Ben Barker, has been excluded for the cause of the stoppage, as I suspected, with the whilst Tom Brennan put his bike exactly where Ben wanted to go, Ben clattered into Tom and was the cause of the accident. So Ben Barker it is who will sit out heat 13, and it very much is advantage to Poole now in this particular heat. Alfie BOWTELL's got his work cut out. You can see Ben Trigger in deep conversation with the Thompson boys and Jacob Hook. Ben sporting his rather fetching race suits and a red car bobble hat. Mark Phillips just trying to explain that the Gladiators can still make the playoffs. Trying to get the crowd going as best he can. Needs 3 wins and an aggregate point win against Workington. So a win tonight will help.
So 3 more heats tonight.
It would have been nicer to have got the aggregate point win tonight, of course. But every win is important. You can see the track staff just doing some work down there at the scene of the accident. Going to need a bit of raking, I think, as Tom Brennan comes out, and I think he'll be duly sent back. The red lights have come straight back on. There is track work going on there on Ben 1. Are you going to have to go back, lads? The red lights are on, but the Pirates are still making their way round. The riders are still going to make their way round. The red. The red lights are on. Mark Phillips asking all riders to go back to the pits. And they don't seem to be listening to that instruction at the moment. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen now. The referee put the red lights on. The riders made it to the start. The track work seems to have been halted. And we're going to get on with it. The 2 minutes are now back on then. So here we go. Heat 13 off the inside in red is Alfie BOWTELL. Gate number 2 in white is Richard Lawson. There'll be no rider off gate number 3 because Ben Barker has been excluded. And gate number 4 in yellow will be Tom Brennan. So it's just one Gladiator against 2 Pirates. with 2-point advantage to the Gladiators. So Alfie BOWTELL has it all to do here in 13 up against Richard Lawson and Tom Brennan, as if the task wasn't hard enough already. Ben Barker, unfortunately, just a little bit too keen to get past Tom Brennan and collected him on his way into Ben's 1 and 2, and as the cause of the stoppage, he is out of Heat 13. Stood behind us, he looks all right, if not a little bit muddy. That's the main thing. He got up fine, so that's all that matters. As Tom Brennan now leaves the starting area, he makes his way up the banking to bend 4. So it's over to you, Alfie. What can you do here against the Pirates 1 and 5? Mark Phillips trying to get the crowd going, trying to get some support behind Alfie BOWTELL, and the Gladiators fans respond. It was a vital Heat 13 anyway, it's just become a huge one for the Poole Pirates. 2 points down, and with a rider advantage here, the start marshal will move out of the way, the green lights will come on, the tapes rise, and as you would expect, Richard Lawson's made the gate and he'll be followed round by Tom Brennan. What can Alfie BOWTELL do? Can he get near it? Richard Lawson out in front here as the 2 Pirates fly off, and Alfie BOWTELL is back in third, but Tom Brennan really attacking the track now, not showing any ill effects from that fall one bit. Richard Lawson slotted into second and looks like he'll shepherd the young British starlet home with Alfie BOWTELL back in third. Tom Brennan going wide, Richard Lawson to the inside. It's team riding at its best with Alfie BOWTELL back in third, and with 1 lap to go, the Pirates look set to wrestle back the advantage on the night in their favour, with Tom Brennan out in front, going the high and wide line. Richard Lawson hugging the inside, and this has been a superb ride from the Poole Pirates pair. And up to the checkered flag, it's a win in yellow for Tom Brennan, second in white for Richard Lawson, and a third place in red for Alfie BOWTELL, so a maximum to the Pirates. And that swings it back in their favour. This has been a humdinger of a meeting to date so far. And the Pirates now have a 2-point advantage with 2 heats to go. With a time of 53.13 seconds. 53.13 for Tom Brennan. And he takes the win in Heat 13, and you suspect they may well not be done just yet. So a win in yellow for Tom Brennan, second in white for Richard Lawson, and a third in red for Alfie BOWTELL. Obviously Ben Barker missed out there at the back. Tom Brennan just very slowly making his way off the track. Fingers crossed he's okay, but he does look like he's in some discomfort, so fingers crossed he's okay. And Paul Starke will replace Ben Trigger, but let's take the replay and you'll see the 2 Pirates fly out of the gate here. Richard Lawson had a look to make sure Alfie BOWTELL wasn't going to come up the inside of the track. And Tom Brennan flies off into the distance, and you'll see team riding here. Richard Lawson hugging that inside line. And this is where Tom Brennan starts to go high and wide to generate the speed to pull himself away. And Richard Lawson follows him through. So Paul Starke will be out in yellow here. And we've got Jacob Hook in for Patrick back in red. So we've got a couple of reserve switches. So off the inside in white is Zach Cook. Gate number 2 in blue is Joe Thompson. 8 paid 11 to his name so far. Paul Starke with a solid night. 7 paid 8 to his name. Gate number 3 in yellow. And 2 paid 3 for Jacob Hook off the outside in red. This is where Garry May will want to issue a response and take it to that final heat if he can level or even with the Gladiators in front. But he's got to get past Zach Cook and Paul Starke, who've had real strong meetings here this evening. Zach in particular with his last ride looking superb, and Paul Starke with his last 2 rides looking excellent. What can Jacob and Joe do here? 2 heats to go. It's a 2-point advantage now to the Pirates, 38-40. Start marshal will soon call them into line. 73.95 on aggregates. Will the Pirates hit 3 figures? I'd suggest there's a good chance they will. But the Gladiators will do all they can to keep them away from 3 figures tonight. And there's still 2 important heats to go to get that win on the night. Just to try and get 2 more points on the board. Start marshal moves out of the way. The tapes rise, away they go, and in blue, Joe Thompson's made it around the outside of Zach Cook. Can he hold it though? Zach Cook follows him through and gets up the inside, so Zach Cook takes the lead. Paul Starke slotted into second place with Jacob Hook at the back. It's a 4-2 to the Pirates at this stage, but Jacob Hook is trying to put Paul Starke under all sorts of pressure if he can at the back. But out in front, Zach Cook, as he looked in his last ride, he's looking stylish. He goes high and wide. Joe Thompson trying to give it to the inside. What can Paul Starke do in third? He seems to have dropped Jacob Hook now, who's at the back of the field. So with 1 lap to go, Zach Cook shows the way from Joe Thompson. Third place for Paul Starke. It's a 4-2 to the Pirates, which would give them a 4-point lead going into heat 15. And Zach Cook it is, who flies round and will take the checkered flag. It's an important heat advantage to the Pirates. They get the 4-2, a win in white for Zach Cook. Second in blue was Joe Thompson. Third in yellow was Paul Starke, and at the back was Jacob Hook. And you just wonder, is that the cruelest of blows to the Gladiators on the night? 40 points to 44 now, but a back-to-back wins for Zach Cook, who gets a second win to his name on the evening, and he takes heat number 14. It's a win in white for Zach Cook. Second in blue was Joe Thompson. Third in yellow, Paul Starke, and at the back of the field was Jacob Hook. It's a 2-4 in favour of the Pirates. 40 points to 44 is the on-the-night score. 75-99 is on the night. And now we prepare for a Heat 15 finale. It is a last heat decider. What can the Gladiators muster? A maximum would take us to a super heat. As out of the gate they come. And round they go. With Zach Cook showing the way from Joe Thompson. Paul Starke had slotted into second place. There they go, Zach Cook and Joe Thompson out in front, with Paul Starke in third and Jacob Hook at the back. 4 points in it. Can the Gladiators get the draw? That is the question. There's the Pirates in deep conversation. Tom Brennan, with the way he left the track after his last ride, I suspect it would be tricky for him to come back out. He looked in real pain and still does down there. There's Richard Lawson. He's bound to be out in 15. He's not going to miss the chance to get another win over the Gladiators. It'll just be who joins him. Off his last 2 rides, you suspect Zach Cook's a fair shout if Tom Brennan can't make it. For the Gladiators, well, Dan Thompson, you would have thought, is a shoo-in. And I guess he'll be joined by Ben Barker as long as he's okay. Lo and behold, there's Ben Barker with a blue helmet colour. And there's Joe Thompson with a red helmet colour. So that's 2 to me so far. I suspect Richard Lawson will make it 3 from 3. And then it's just whether Zach Cook can make it 4 from 4. I've not had a great night on Garry May Sudoku. Let's see if I can get Heat 15 right. The atmosphere trying to build for Heat 15 here. It's been a really good night in front of a great crowd, an enthusiastic crowd. To the Poole Pirates fans who are down here tonight, safe travels back to them. We wish the Pirates all the very best in the playoffs. There'll be a tough nut to crack, that is for sure. As I mentioned earlier, we do continue to send our best wishes to Tobias Thompson and Vinnie Ford. So we take another wander around. There's Garry May. It's just got away from the Gladiators in the last couple of heats. The 5-1 in Heat 13 and then the 4-2 in Heat 14. That 5-1 in Heat 11 as well to bring it back level. That will frustrate Garry, but they've got one chance to get the draw here. Anything is possible. The crowd are going nowhere this evening because it's all on the line, as it often is between the Pirates and the Gladiators. No quarter asked, none given between these two rivals who've had so many great battles in recent years. Maximus applauding the NHS stand, saluting the crowd. Does a sterling job down here, does Maximus. Very popular figure. The floodlights taking full effect now. There's a look behind Dan Thompson and Ben Barker. So we know Dan will be in red and Ben will be in blue. Plymouth will have the choice of gates here. I would suspect off 1 and 3, if I was guessing. For the Pirates, Lawson in white and Ben Cook will come out in yellow. So that is a little bit of a surprise. I didn't call that one. I'd have thought Zach might have been out. It is Zach Cook in yellow. So Zach will be in yellow. I did think, particularly after those 2 wins, that Zach would be the favourite to come out if Tom Brennan wasn't fit. The music continues to build towards a crescendo, and that crescendo will be heat number 15. Looking ahead, as I say, the Gladiators back in action a week today here at the Coliseum. They will take on the Oxford Cheetahs in the final home fixture of the year. Do get down next weekend if you're in the area to get behind Garry and the team one last time. Give them a big push. The Poole Pirates back in action on Friday night. They travel all the way up to Edinburgh and then they head to Workington next Saturday as well, before Richard Lawson's testimonial a week on Sunday. So here we go, heat number 15. Only for the Pro Park Plymouth Gladiators to get the draw. And it's down to Dan Thompson and Ben Barker. The 2 consistent figures of the team in recent weeks have it all to do. Here is your lineup for heat number 15, and off the inside in red is Dan Thompson. Gate number 2 in white is Richard Lawson. Gate number 3 in blue is Ben Barker. Gate number 4 is Zach Cook. And if ever the 2 Gladiator boys could replicate heat 15 like they did against Glasgow a fortnight ago, now is the time. That night they managed to get the better of Chris Harris and Anders Rowe. Can they now get the better of Zach Cook and Richard Lawson? They team rode to perfection that night. It might take something similar here. As the riders continue to work down at the start, the music continues to build the atmosphere. As I say, nobody has gone anywhere. Nobody is leaving the Coliseum. It's never a dull moment between the Gladiators and the Pirates, and this is no exception. 4 laps of the Coliseum to go. A 5-1 to Plymouth results in a draw. Anything other than that, and the Pirates not only take the aggregate point, but they will take the win on the night. They will take a full 5 points from 5 against Plymouth. The Gladiators looking to prevent the Pirates. Tapes rise and away we go. Dan Thompson's made it off the inside, but Richard Lawson and Zach Cook follow him round, with Ben Barker at the back of the Pirates are on a 5-1. Richard Lawson out in front with Zach Cook in second. Dan Thompson is not going to give up in third. Zach Cook now going high and wide, trying to follow his teammate round. Richard Lawson has a look for him. He sees as his teammate putting pressure on him, not Dan Thompson. The pair of them get out of shape. Now Dan's trying to go up the inside of Zach Cook. At the back of the field is Ben Barker. They've only got a lap and a half to go for the Pirates. It's going to be a maximum finish for them, it looks, at this stage, unless Dan and Ben can pull something miraculous out. Richard Lawson is back looking smooth out in front. Zach Cook in second with Dan Thompson in third. Ben's 3 and 4 to go. The maximum men for the Pirates take all 5 points in this fixture. A 5-1 for the Poole Pirates to the roars of the Poole crowd on the back straight and the home straight. It's a maximum for the Pirates. Dan Thompson tried his very best and Ben Barker gave his all across the night. A warm round of applause for Zach Cook as he comes round to the home straight. A warm round of applause for Dan Thompson and Richard Lawson as well. Richard certainly enjoyed that one. And your full result of heat number 15 is a win in white for Richard Lawson. Second in yellow was Zach Cook. Third in red was Dan Thompson. And fourth in blue was the Plymouth captain Ben Barker. It finishes 41 to the Plymouth Gladiators and 49 to the Poole Pirates. They take not only the 2 points at Wimborne Road, they take 2 points away from the Coliseum this evening and the aggregate bonus point. They take full 5 points from this clash. And it's another win on Plymouth soil for Poole. Bragging rights remain in Dorset for another 12 months. And we wish the Pirates all the very best in the playoffs. There's your aggregate result. Plymouth 76, Poole 104. Congratulations to Poole. They carry on as we take the riders' scores. 8 points to Alfie BOWTELL, a good night for him. 13 for Dan Thompson. 1 paid 2 for Patrick Baek. 7 paid 8 for Ben Barker. 10 paid 13 for Joe Thompson. Great night for the Thompson boys. And 2 paid 3 for Jacob Hook. To the Pirates, it's 14 paid 16 for Richard Lawson. No points, unfortunately, for Sam Hagon. 6 points from 4 rides for Ben Cook. His night tailed off towards the end. Great end to Zach Cook's night. 9 paid 10. 10 points to Tom Brennan. We wish him well. Hope his injury isn't too serious. 8 paid 9 then for Paul Starke. And it's 2 paid 3 for Ben Trigger. And the Pirates finish on 49. It's 41-49 to the Pirates, and it's a happy camp down there, I'm sure. They will be going back to Dorset with yet another win in the bag. They've had a superb year, racking up win after win after win. And the Pirates do take all 5 points. For the Gladiators, as I mentioned, well, they're back in action a week today. They will be back against the Oxford Cheetahs down here at the Coliseum as the truck comes round to take the Pirates on a victory lap, which I'm sure the Pirates fans who are amassed inside the Coliseum will enjoy. Danny Ford giving a good pat on the back to all of his Poole Pirates. Tom Brennan, I say, great to see him walking away from that crash earlier. Fingers crossed it's not too serious. He's trying to get himself up onto the truck and eventually manages it. As they get up onto the truck, Ben Trigger's going to abseil on the truck by the looks of it. It's a rather interesting position that Ben Trigger's taken up. There's 7 Pirates on the truck and they will complete their lap of honour, taking in the applause of the Gladiators fans who give them a warm round of applause, and the amassed Pirates who are here. Massive thanks to the Gladiators TV crew here tonight. Paul, who's done a great job on the cameras. Presenter Gareth, who you heard from earlier. I've been Joe Bow, your commentator, and pits reporter Andy Hague has pieced it all together in the truck, and we thank him for his sterling work as ever. And we do thank all of our graphics providers and rider image providers. Another great night here at the Coliseum. We hope you've enjoyed the programme here on Gladiators TV, and you can join us again in 7 days' time for the season finale here at the Coliseum in the Cab Direct Championship. The Oxford Cheetahs, another side who are gunning for the playoffs. They have a 12-point aggregate advantage, so it could be a really fun night here at the Coliseum 1 week today. So do come along and get down to the track if you can. If not, you're very welcome to join all of the team here on Gladiators TV. It's been our pleasure to bring you tonight's fixture. Congratulations and best wishes to the Poole Pirates from all of us at Gladiators TV. Have a great night.